Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
What's up, everybody? Big Herc, Prison Talk. You're tuned into another edition. Got OG Badger here with me. I know you guys want to see us do more of these things, so we're back at it. Make sure you subscribe and also check out the website, FreshOutSeries.com, and subscribe to that. If you have a question, you can shoot us a question on the website or FreshOutSeries@gmail.com. Had a question from one of our viewers. What's up, Big Herc? Pretty simple question. In the intro of the videos you mentioned you had dreams and aspirations. To veer off of all the questions about prison is like, I'm curious as to what some of those dreams were. I remember in one video you mentioned you got into contact with Adidas and a few other brands. But what other things might there have been that interested you at a young age? Much love to you and what you do. Keep on inspiring, man. Badger, what were some of the dreams you had, man?
Well, as a young child, I thought of joining the fire department. You know, that was one of my dreams that I wanted to do. As far as, and then my grandparents, they were always into, like, I don't know if you can remember, but like Queen's Way of Fashion, Slender Now, Amway. You know, so like right away I had a sales pitch with me, and I was the sales pitch sometimes. We lived in South Central Los Angeles at the time, Highland and 8th Avenue, and you know, like we were welcome everywhere back then. We were like the only white people going anywhere, but we were totally welcome, totally loved wherever we went. You know what I mean? And so, like, I always just wanted to be a hustler like them. You know what I mean? Because that's what they did. They were hustling. They were driving fucking nice cars. You know what I mean? Look at the new meat coat Amway just got me. We're going to Hawaii. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, that's all you got to do is hustle, and then you start figuring out the pyramid scheme. And I'm like, you know, maybe that's something I can get on board. But I also had bad behaviors. You know what I mean? Like, my bad behaviors started before my drug addiction. I know you're not an addict or drink, you know, and I am sober, regardless of what people want to think on the video. I get nervous, and rock stars are monsters. So I am sober, you know what I mean? But I had bad behaviors that were not allowing me to do those things. You know what I mean? I was being blocked at the time.
Were you into, like, any type of, like, skateboarding, BMXing, or any of that type of stuff, or drawing, or, you know,
so I
sports?
paint. I paint, you know what I mean? Like, and I taught some art teachers how to paint.
Did you ever try selling any of your art?
Interest.
No?
Not really. No, like, I mean, I did some teaching here and there. For when I was young, I would teach the teacher at my school how to paint, you know what I mean? Because I was taught, my grandma had an instructor that taught me, and I just passed on the lessons that I learned, sort of like what we're doing here. Passing on what we've learned to those that are willing to listen, you know? And painting was one. Of course, I love swimming in the Colorado River. Moving to LA just destroyed me, though. It did destroy a lot of my dreams and hopes. You know.
You think it's more or less because of just the outside influence, the friends you started hanging around, the people that were around you, because you didn't have nobody cultivating those dreams?
So I was accepted through my grandmother's friends at her businesses things, right? But like when I went to school, I wasn't really accepted there. So I'd have to leave like 10 minutes early to jump the fence, to run home from school and not get caught at 7-Eleven. It was sort of fucked up for me back then, you know? And I didn't have any friends. And the two friends that I did have, I'm not going to put their names out there, but like, they got their cat killed and nailed to their door because they were hanging out with me. So it wasn't all good. Hey there, handsome. My son just showed up. So that part, I don't know, like I started becoming a homebody. I read a lot. I mean, I'm self-educated though, but I read a lot, you know. And then as a kid, I would watch TV. So like going out of the house wasn't a huge thing for me down there. It wasn't until I hit Arizona that, you know, I was able to go swimming, and I was able to do the things I like to do, go cliff diving, you know, go boating, go skiing, go, you know, those were all fun things back then. Go try and get away with gambling at the casino. So that was it.
Yeah, I think for me, my dreams and aspirations were pretty much evolved around, I want to be a professional skater, but back then Thrasher was the big magazine of trans world, and where I lived at in San Francisco on a military base, we didn't have a lot of options for doing that to become a professional skater. And then I moved to the neighborhood, and wasn't no black skaters in the hood. Everybody played basketball or some type of sport or something. So I kind of got away from that. But initially, I was really into skating. I loved to do that, BMXing, freestyling, BMX. I forgot the name of the magazine back then, but I used to look at every edition. I had every subscription as far as BMXing and freestyling back then. I used to be into that real big. And then I was always into fashion and design. I used to get GQ magazine as a kid, and then I would look at just the different clothing and stuff, and think one day I wanted to dress like that. So, and then I was into shoes. So I did write Nike. I wrote Adidas. I drew pictures of shoes to try to before they had all the access to all the computer stuff. I would draw sketches and hopefully get them to be interested in me designing the shoe for them. I came up with a clothing line when I was in high school, and I wanted to try some of my own clothing. I tried to design video games. I drew different stages of video games. Back then it was Intellivision, Coleco, Atari. So I wrote a couple of them and sent them different games. I came up with ideas. I was a very creative kid too. I mean, I spent, when I wasn't out skateboarding and stuff, when I was in my room, drawing and doing stuff, I kind of went into my own little world, but I always had a fantasy of getting the fuck up out the hood. I never was content or complacent with my surrounding environment, and I always wanted to buy my mom a big house and make money. And I knew money, everybody talked about, all this other bullshit, but to me, money opens up doors. I don't give a fuck what people say. You can go and, oh my Lord help me, sit there and you still go home, you're broke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking religion, whatever, I'm spiritual, but the bottom line is the church needs money. Everybody needs money. A homeless person needs money. You know what I mean? So my whole thing was, if I can make money, I can get the fuck about the hood, I can, change my environment, and I can live the good life. My favorite show was Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, Robin Leach. I used to watch that shit every week. You know what I mean? And you God damn, they living like that. Yeah. And that was one of my dreams, is to basically live that lifestyle and have those things and be able to travel and not have to buy things. And if you buy this, you can't buy this. You buy this, you can't do this. You know what I mean? And that's that bullshit. That's that poor person's mentality. And that's been, that's usually transferred down from generation to generation. So I was trying to break that cycle. So, I had a lot of things I wanted to do. I never, be honest with you, wanted to work for somebody. I always wanted to be my own boss. I always, whether it's mowing lawns, fucking, collecting cans, buying and selling bike parts. I used to even sell, my mom used to make me brownies and they were hella good. I used to sell them motherfuckers at school, out of my lunch. So I was always hustling. I was always coming up with ideas to make money. I would see something, I painted my bike a certain color and guys like it. I say, hey man, I'll paint your bike for $5, $10. So I was always hustling. And so it's just something that was in me. My mom didn't, she was somewhat of a hustler, but not like me. And, that kept me going, man. That always motivated me. And even when I was in prison, where a lot of guys were looking to get out and get a fucking job, I was trying to find angles to not work. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I can call this dude and he can vouch for me and I can tell my PO I work for this dude, but really I'm out trying to find other opportunities because I didn't want to do all that fucking time, then get out and be stuck at a job all fucking day. I'm like, dude, I'm a bank robber, now I'm gonna go work for Home Depot? I mean, what the fuck, So that's just me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working for somebody if that's what your capability is, but for me, I've always been somebody who had creativity, and so I've always dreamed of creating things. And now I got my own, clothing line with my business partner. We got our own shoes, we got our own supplement. I'm flipping cars, I got investments, but these are things that I've cultivated over a long period of time. And you have to convince yourself that these are things that you can do. Because if you don't, you can convince yourself that you can't do them. And so whenever anybody tries to come with these ideas, you'll look the other direction. So you got to actually condition yourself to be susceptible to a lot of things in life because you're taught one way. And you have to unteach yourself those old ways in order to create new ways. And I spent the first part of my bid unteaching myself all that bullshit I was taught by my mom, by my grandmother, by, different people around me, the homies, to create my own me. Because a lot of times you're not living you're living somebody else's rendition of what they created you to become. So, if you were taught to go to church every Sunday, you were taught to wear this color, walk this way, talk this way, you got to figure, is that really you? Have you came up with all these different descriptions of yourself? Or is this something somebody else has created to define you?
Right.
So that was my biggest thing. And that's how I was able to cultivate my dreams, because I've always did things on my own. And there was a lot of friction. Oh man, you think you're better than us? Oh man, you talk a certain way, you must be this or you must be that. I can talk with that old, street shit too, but it don't get you too far in the real world. Motherfuckers look at you like this ignorant motherfucker, you know what I mean?
You getting hired at Home Depot with that shit.
No, you ain't going nowhere. Right. So that's what made me a chameleon. You gotta be a chameleon in life. You gotta be able to turn around and blend in over here, you gotta know how to handle situations. I know how to talk to everybody. Spanish, Asian, popos, the homies. You gotta be able to blend in. So being this definition of whoever is not gonna get you anywhere in life, you know what I mean? And that's why we have this channel, and that's why we're sharing and basically trying to open up you guys' eyes and mentalities so you can have more opportunities than we did, because the prison life is some straight shit. So
So let's say that's the way you roll too, and then you go someplace that's employing one of those people and they're still acting ignorant, bringing that ignorant shit to you. How do you feel when you're looking at them, even though that's how you're rolling? It's like you're looking in a mirror, you know what I mean? You're like, man, all I wanted was some fucking help on how to get a goddamn TV.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude's fucking...
And it's actually almost embarrassing. Because now you realize, like, yeah, man, this motherfucker. But he's like a younger you, maybe. And you're
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Dude, man.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's out there as a tool. You know what I mean? And what I mean by tool, not the way you think. Like, you look at her, I swear, bro, like, I'm inspired with the shit that you say, because that was not mine. Mine was selling drugs, doing this and that with drugs, and it was always drugs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's how I moved up. So hearing you share your story, I'm like, damn, man, I missed out on everything, because I didn't have any of those hopes, any of those dreams, any of those aspirations. Mm. It wasn't me, you know what I mean? Like, it's totally cool. It's like this side of the page, and then you flip over to this side of the page. And it makes me, so like, I don't know how your home life was, but it sounds like you came from a Prince of Bel-Air type thing, and I know that's not the case.
No.
Right, but that's what it sounds like, but you
shit.
made it that way.
Yeah.
Like you said, you spent the first half of your term breaking yourself into, you know what I mean? And I spent the first half of my term becoming somebody that I'm not. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we're totally flip-flop.
Well, I created almost a fantasy world, because when I was younger, basically I stayed in my room because my stepdad was a piece of shit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Those wasn't.
Exactly. So I stayed in the room and I would look at these magazines. Like when I go to a grocery store, you know how when you're a little kid, you go there and you look at all these books, cars, you know what I mean? Oh, can I get this book?
Comic books.
Comic books, I get those too. I draw comic characters and I look at, like, it's sad to say I had a lot of little gun books. I thought guns were cool when you were a kid, Remington.
Still do,
and other
sorry,
stuff.
guys.
You know what I mean? So I looked at all these books, and I had a collection. It was crazy because my mom wouldn't let me buy the guns. So what I did was, she gave me a stack of paper, dude. I had the Scotch tape, and I'd make these guns out of paper, paint them and everything, and I created a whole collection. And she's like, what the hell? And then I even had the gun where I'd put like a...
Rubber band?
I put like a... What do you call those things on the tips of on the tires?
Yeah.
I'd put those little metal ones, and I would do like this, and I'd sling the gun, and the bullet would come at people. So I was like on some bullshit. But when I was a kid, I was being creative, like, because I couldn't buy the guns at the store, because my mom was like, she didn't like that shit. She's like, that's a bad direction, which eventually...
Plastic guns and
yeah,
stuff?
she didn't like none of that. She didn't like none of that. So I made paper guns. So I would do all this creative stuff, man, and I think like, fuck, man, what if I would have had somebody, I'd be like, hey, man, this is very creative. What if we go and take you to art class, and what if somebody cultivated that? I would have went a whole nother direction. But because I had no male cultivation, and once I got put in the hood, I gradually went towards the street shit, the hustling, the different things, and that became my, like, oh man, I can become this dude now. The dude with the perm, the motherfucker that's on yoke status, the wife beater, you know, the OG with the lokes on, the dude who's like rolling around in the Cutlass on D's and he's hanging out. But these dudes, when I really got to looking at them, like these people, as I got older, like, man, this dude ain't shit. It's no future in that. So I went from one, trying to be this guy who was maybe a professional skateboarder, entrepreneur, video game designer, shoe designer, to drug dealer, gangster, repping the streets, repping the neighborhood, to the pen, doing full circle, like, fuck, how do I get here? And every day I just think about it. It'd be hard, and sometimes you even want to cry in your sleep because you wake up, you're like, fuck, man, I had all these. How'd I get over here? How'd it go all the way to the fucking pen? And then you wake up
now
and they crack the,
right.
Yeah, you crack the, you hear the worst thing, you're sleeping, you hear that, oh man, the door's open, you gotta jump off your bunk, get ready, and then you see these motherfuckers, you've been looking like, God damn, chow time. You have to hurry up and run the fuck out of there. And it's like, dude, how'd I do that? I gotta do this for 10 years? I'm like, fuck. So, it comes.
Sometimes you said that. Fuck!
Yeah, you're in a dream and you realize you're in the fucking pen still. And it's like, it's sad, man. So I try to share all this stuff so you guys don't have to go through it. You can catch it before you end up there doing some fucked up time and realizing that, man, I wish I would have stuck with that stuff. If you're a youngster and you're watching this, you're one of those motherfucking, Fortnite guys, man, stick with the bullshit, get your shit together and, trying to be a gang-banging gangster motherfucker, it ain't no future in that, man. If you do have any talent and you have somebody around you that can mentor you, man, take advantage of that shit. Because I didn't have a motherfucking mentor. I didn't have a male figure. I didn't have anybody who gave me any advice. Even when I graduated from high school, nobody told me to go take my SATs or my ASATs or to go and, I just kind of was just drifting, So it's sad, man. And I had to go 180 degrees to get back to where I am now. So dreams and aspirations, man.
If you don't have any talent, that's only your head telling you that.
That's right.
Everybody has a talent, man. All the things he just told you to do. So he keeps mentioning male, what's the word you use?
Male mentor or role model.
Mentor or whatever. My bad, we each have our own views, but I had some solid female role models that just kept me going. All right, just the love that I would get from them would make me push harder in the things that I would do, right down to the school testing and all that, So, and I do believe that you need a male in your life.
Well, my mom was positive. I was a straight A student, but the dudes, you want to feel like you feel right. You want to impress them.
Right.
Oh, you come to the park, you don't want to get punked for your shit, so you want to be like a tough guy, like, oh, I'm out here, I can play, I can do this shit, I can be that man. Because a woman tells you certain things, but she don't give you that.
Give them the shoes, don't come home beat up, everything.
It's different. My grandmother, she's always, she taught me a lot about mannerism, but she didn't teach me, how to fight, how to defend myself, or how to think like a male in a situation, how to read people. I had to kind of learn a lot of those things. You know what I mean? The woman taught you certain qualities, but the manly thing, we stumbled. You bumped your head, and I'm like, fuck, man, this motherfucker, I learned a lot from just, falling down and getting up.
So, I'm going to go back to that again. So, Dad did, he taught you how to fight or told you when not to back down. But, the solid advice was coming from Grandma going,
yeah.
You know what, it's okay to walk away. And it doesn't feel okay when you're young because you're like, fuck, now everybody thinks I'm a punk or whatever,
You don't want to get dropped off by your mom every day.
No,
you know what I mean?
I didn't have it like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have it like that, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have. I don't know. I didn't have it like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure they feel their embarrassment. You know what I mean? I stole bike parts.
Yeah.
Thanks if I got you. You know what I mean? I stole bikes to get to school. We were broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My dad was a junkie. You know what I mean? So that's why my dreams and aspirations, did I say the right word?
Yeah.
Were snuffed out early.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what I'm going to be. I probably won't be alive soon. I just went straight into that mode. And my story is my dad stuck a needle in my arm at 13. So right there tells me this dude fucking hates me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking. So all that shit was snuffed out of me. And the only people that I did have saying, you can be somebody, was a woman, you know, and I appreciated every fucking fiber of her for doing that for me, because I don't think that I would have moved on in life later in life.
Well, those things, even like what my mom gave me or my grandmother, is why we're here today.
Solid.
Because, you know what I'm saying?
Solid.
Because we didn't have them. So that's what made me, that's what makes me who I am, and that's what made me so determined when I was in prison to not let the system break me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's my fallback. Not to say I don't give her any credit. You know, I give her a lot of credit because she did what she did. And from she was a young mom, 14 when she had me. So she was very young. So, I give her quality for that. I give her props for that. But, going back to that, you guys hold on to your dreams and aspirations, man.
Keep them real, too.
Yeah. Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.